Creating a functional and beautiful retaining wall is more than just stacking stones or bricks. It's an art that combines engineering, aesthetics, and an understanding of the landscape. For homeowners looking to enhance their outdoor space, finding a contractor who can deliver both form and function is crucial. Today, we're thrilled to have Cullin Linkenheimer from Missing Link Landscaping and Excavation with us. With years of experience and a keen eye for detail, Cullin and his team have transformed numerous landscapes with their stunning retaining walls. In this interview, Cullin will share his insights on what makes a retaining wall not just a structural necessity, but a beautiful addition. So, Cullin, let's start by if you can explain the primary purposes of a retaining wall and why a homeowner might need one.
Yeah, so the primary purpose of a retaining wall, one is obviously erosion. If you got a hillside that's eroding and it keeps, all the rain and stuff is eating away at it, and you need to stop that erosion, a wall is a good way to control that. Another one may be to extend space, such as in a backyard or in a driveway. At least here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we have a lot of hills. So if you have a driveway, you have a hillside next to it, but you want to extend your space so you can enjoy it, retaining wall is also a good solution for that as well. And it also controls water too. So again, back to the erosion, if you have a wall, you could divert the water that's coming off the hill and lead it somewhere else and, use it somewhere else in the yard and keep it away from your home. You never want water going towards your home. You always want to divert it away from the home. So those are pretty much three big reasons for a wall. And on top of that, they're aesthetically pleasing as well. They last the test of time. They're made out of stone, concrete, all different types of materials. So it's more appealing for your house, more, helps you have a bigger space, and it can even help you down the road when you're going to sell your home as well.
Beautiful. That's great. Now, what are some of the key factors to consider when designing a retaining wall that is both functional and aesthetically pleasing?
Some of the key factors that you got to keep in mind is one, where's the location? How high up are we going with the wall? The height's going to determine the height and the soil of what we're working with. It will determine pretty much what type of block you can use, how to build the integrity of the wall, and it will pretty much determine how the wall should be built. That's going to be the fact of the wall.
Great. Now, how do you ensure that a retaining wall will be durable and stand the test of time, especially in different weather conditions?
Yeah, so here in Pittsburgh, we have all four seasons. So lately it's been straight rain, and we get the frost as well. Some of the biggest stuff with the soil up north here is one freeze and thaw. You need solid ground when building on top of a wall. You can either make a concrete pad, or you need to dig down deep enough for the frost line and start at the base. Just like building a home, the base is the most important factor of building a home. If you do not have a good base and a strong base, the wall will fail on you. For the test of time as well is proper drainage behind the wall. You just don't want to backfill the wall with dirt because there's nowhere for the water to go. Drainage on walls are very big because if you don't have proper drainage, what ends up happening is the wall will end up leaning, pushing, falling forward as soon as we get a heavy rain and that starts to freeze and thaw. Think of it just like the roads here, the freeze and thaws, everything contrasts and expands. So got to keep that in mind when building a wall.
Okay, can you walk us through the process of planning and construction of a retaining wall from start to finish?
Yeah, so planning out the wall, pretty simple. You're going to want to locate where exactly you want the wall. For example, if you have an erosion control or something like that, going to find your location. We'll take it back a couple of feet from there. We're going to give us enough room off the wall to backfill it with stone. Once you find your location and you know exactly where you want to put the wall, you go then to the material side of what type of stone do you want. Type of stone is pretty much there are so many different options of stone out there that the customer has the ability to go to these supply yards, to go to these different manufacturers that we can give them a list of the stones to pick from, and they can literally visually see the stone, and we can take that stone that they want and make their vision come true from there.
Now, speaking of the materials, what materials do you recommend for retaining walls, and how do they impact the overall look and the longevity of the wall, especially in the area you're in, where Springdale, Fox Chapel, New Kensington, all of those areas?
Yeah, so the biggest, I guess the two biggest materials that we see when it comes to these retaining walls is one, most people usually know this one, it's Versalock. So Versalock is a very common stone here in the area. It is made out of concrete. They have preset pins in them as well. So it allows you to tear the wall back to the perfect amount each time. That way there's very little to no air when stacking these blocks. As long as it's almost like you can think of it giant Legos. They all have a certain spot they need to sit in, and they all go together uniformly. The second material that we see here, at least up in Pittsburgh, would be natural stone. They call them boulder walls as well. We see a lot of boulder walls. Now, the only thing that you got to keep in mind with boulder walls is that you can only take them so high, just because they don't have the same integrity once you get past around like three feet of height. So you do have to keep that in mind, that if you have a wall that's, you're looking over 5, 8, maybe 10 feet tall, the boulder wall may not be the path that you want to go down, because you will have to tear them back every so many feet to keep its strength. But other than the stone factor, the other big thing material-wise that we recommend, and that we use on all of our sites, is, again, we go back to the base. We need to have a solid base, so we want to compact the soil. We don't want to we want to get down to the soil, leave that soil uninterrupted, compact it, put your fabric down, get your modified stone in there, pack it all down nice and tight, because the last thing we want is that wall moving. But other than that, you pick your material, the stone on the wall, and then a lot of 2A and 2B limestone to keep you going.
Nice. Now, when it comes to integration into a landscape, how do you integrate the retaining wall into a person's existing landscape to make it more natural and cohesive with its surroundings?
Yeah, so we'll integrate it. We'll work with the client. So we work with the client to see, what their color scheme is. Do they have a lot of plants? Do they have other borders going around, like their mulch bed? Does this mulch bed have a stone color? We also take a look at their color of their house, any existing patios or decks or stuff like that. Because the thing is you want it to blend in and look natural. If you got a red house, we don't want to give you, let's say, necessarily a completely different color stone. We want something to blend in with the house and look natural into the landscape of your yard. The retaining walls, they're meant to blend in. You want them to blend in. Now, if you want to go crazy, by all means, you can go crazy. But that's why we work with the clients, and we let them, we give them our professional opinion. They give us kind of a color scheme, and then we can give them a few options from there, and we let them visually go and see the block, and then they can pick it from there.
That's great. Now, can you share some examples of projects where you've created retaining walls that blend functionality?
Yeah, so we did a retaining wall actually in the Fox Chapel area. Later last year, we call it a 2-tier retaining wall. We pretty much excavated the backyard, created a flat surface for her to put a gazebo, a mini putt-putt course, and then he wanted a 2-tier wall mainly for the purpose because he wanted to put plants on each level of the wall. And then on top of that, he wanted to blend in with his backyard. It's a very wooded area. So to do that, we went with a darker stone. Obviously, a darker stone in a natural setting blends in better than something that's bright and vibrant. So we went with a darker brown stone, built a 2-tier system with steps on the side, and it turned out beautiful. He has a 2-tier wall. He ended up putting, a few plants throughout the wall. And now that they're all blooming, it looks great. It's kind of hard to tell that there's even all that work was done to that property.
That's great. You should send us some pictures of that.
Absolutely.
Now, what are some common mistakes that homeowners or inexperienced contractors make when building retaining walls, and how can those be avoided?
The biggest mistake, again, is going to be the base. What we see whenever we get called in to look at a wall and estimate, we see a lot of these walls start to lean. Now, all these walls do have a natural lean backwards into the hill. That is normal. But what we don't want to see a lean forward. What that's telling us is, one, that the base of the wall is either poor, or two, there is very, very poor drainage in that wall. Because what's happening is that it's causing the dirt and soil to push down through the wall, get to the base of it, and it's holding all this water, and it's starting to slowly over time push at the base of it. Eventually, the wall will fail. So what we, if you're at home or you're trying to do this yourself, is take the time, make sure you have a good solid base. That's what we always tell people when it comes to building walls, is that you need a base and we need good drainage. So when you backfill a wall, you want to make sure that you have your drainage in place. You want to make sure that you have your stone in place, and don't just backfill it with dirt. That's a very common mistake that we see, is even like a 3-foot wall. Any wall that's backfilled with dirt holds water. Dirt holds water. Stone allows water to just, penetrate through and find its way out. So I would say the base and the backfilling of the wall are the two biggest mistakes that we see as a company when we take a look at wall, and that we definitely avoid when we build our walls.
Yeah, drainage would be super important so that you don't have the thing falling apart in just a few years, right? And depending on how harsh your winter was, the freeze thaw, it could really deteriorate quickly.
Absolutely.
So how do you customize retaining wall designs to fit the unique needs and preferences of different homeowners?
The customization process is it's honestly very simple. We also as a company, we also give them, again, some options that we think would look best. Now, some clients have images, or they see other walls that they like and they want us to build, and that's fine. We can go off of images that you find on the internet, and if it's something that won't work for the area, we'll give you our professional opinion and let you know, and we can come up with something that's closer, that will work with that area and that we can move forward with. But the customization process, it's very simple. Like I said earlier, we give them a couple options for stone. We get on the same page. We send them down to a supply yard, or we have books and pamphlets that we can give them. They can select a stone from there, and once you select your stone, we can make it happen.
Okay, lastly, what advice would you give to homeowners who are looking to hire a contractor for building a retaining wall? What should they look for in a professional and competent?
I would say the biggest thing to look for is someone that can communicate. Okay, communication is key with these walls. We always make sure that we're all on the same page before we even break ground, because the last thing we want to do is do something that you don't want us to do. So when it comes to finding a good contractor, make sure communication is there. Make sure everybody's on the same page of what style, what form of wall. Do we want a single tier? Do we want 2-tier? What materials, what supplies are we using? That is the biggest thing to be on page before we even start to dig and break ground. Is let's make sure we're all on the same page. There's nothing worse than somebody being on 2 different pages and you're getting a bad result at the end. My other thing would be, let's look at reputation. See if they have any pictures of previous walls, reference sheets. Reference sheets are a great way to know that they have clients that they've done work for and the stuff they've done has lasted. So those would be my top 2 things I would look for in any contractor, would be either previous work, a reference sheet, and good communication back and forth with the contractor, so you guys are all on the same page.
Awesome. And for your particular area, do people usually look for any type of certification or licensing, insurance, all that kind of stuff? Is that a common practice?
The biggest thing we look for here is insurance, because we are dealing with machines and we are working around homes and stuff like that. So if somebody doesn't have insurance and they're digging in your yard and they didn't call 811, or they didn't call and they didn't get everything approved beforehand, that's something that you want to make sure that whoever you hire has definitely insurance. Mistakes do happen, okay, but they shouldn't be common, but mistakes do happen. The worst thing you want is something to go wrong and damage your house, and the guy that you hired didn't have insurance, and now you're stuck to foot the bill. It's a bigger headache on the clients, and it's just a big headache for everybody. So as for that, some areas may require a permit to get a wall built. Usually the permit will fall on the homeowner, but we help and we work with the homeowner to get that permit. Any questions the township or borough may need, we can supply them, help that process move, seamlessly, get your permit ready, and we can go from there.
All right, last thing. How can somebody get a hold of you if there's a homeowner out there looking to get a retaining wall or any landscape excavation work done? How do they get a hold of you to hire?
Oh, you can definitely give us a call or text at our phone number, which is 724-799-0490. Again, you can call us, text us at any time. We'll get back to you. And if you want to visit our site, I guess our site's getting updated, so we'll hold off on the site there. But call us, text us, any questions, you want a reference sheet, we're more than glad to give you guys a reference sheet. But yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of us. Again, it's 724-799-0490.
Perfect. Thanks so much.